Hey everybody, it's Benny One, and I'm back at you with another movie review, everybody. For the month of October, we're gonna review all the Halloween movies, everybody. Woo! That is correct, because Halloween Ends comes out October 14th. Super excited about it. Yeah. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna review all the Halloween movies, everyone in the franchise, even though all of them after the first one don't matter in this new trilogy they're doing. We're gonna go back and review them, though. So, we're going to start it off with 1978's classic horror movie, and still my favorite horror movie of all time, and that is John Carpenter's Halloween, everybody. Woo! That came out in 1978. And I gotta tell you, this movie was made on a very, very small budget. Even back when this movie came out, this budget of $300,000 was tiny. They seriously made this movie with $300,000, and that was a small amount even back in that time, like I said. And it grossed, I'm pretty sure it grossed, I saw like over $40 million, so it made a shit ton of money for how cheap it was made. Like the profitability of the movie is probably crazy. So, and yes, like I said, this is John Carpenter's Halloween. It is probably next to The Thing that I would say John Carpenter is most known for. I enjoy a lot of other movies that John Carpenter has done, but I would say those two movies, this one more so I would say is what he's most known for, and his iconic music that he did for this movie also. So yes, this is directed by John Carpenter. And of course it stars Jamie Lee Curtis, her first movie, big breakout role as Laurie Strode, everyone. That is correct. She is a scream queen. Her mother was a scream queen. She was in the original Psycho, so it's just in her blood to do something like this. And then, of course, the great Donald Pleasance plays Dr. Sam Loomis, easily the best acted character in this movie. We will get into that, don't you worry. And of course, you can't go without talking about the guy that played Michael Myers. That is something that I'm going to talk about in all of these Halloween movies, for good or for bad. I'm going to talk about it because I like giving credit to actors that are behind a mask in movies when they have to portray a character and emulate certain things behind a mask where you don't see their damn face. You can barely see their eyes. Sometimes you can't even see anything on their face. It's just a full mask. So, Nick Castle, everybody, that is right, was the original Michael effing Myers. And he is fantastic. And I love that James Jude Courtney has emulated what he did in this first Halloween movie. And he has continued that on, because Nick Castle was in parts of the 2018 Halloween, and then James Jude Courtney did a lot of the more physical stuff, and then he continued to play Michael in Halloween Kills and then Halloween Ends, and I think he captures what Nick Castle did as the original Michael Myers. I really think he captures the way that he moved and everything. It's amazing. I love it. So yeah, that is our cast for the most part. If there's other characters, you know, the murder people, the people in the movie that, like Annie, Laurie's friends, the meat for Michael to kill everyone. So yes, Halloween, classic freaking horror movie. You can talk about John Carpenter's directing of this movie and how he shot this movie, the angles, the long takes and shots where you see Michael's shoulder and then the camera just sits there and doesn't move, builds the suspense. You got Michael Myers, the shape. They created the shape. That's what he was called in this first movie. The iconic mask. That was a William Shatner mask that they bought in a store and dyed the freaking mask white and cut out the eyes a little bit more. That's the Michael Myers mask, is freaking Captain Kirk, everybody. That's right. And it's iconic. And this is one of the best versions of that Michael Myers mask, which we will also be talking about in every single movie review of the Halloween franchise, because holy shit, some of the masks are god-awful and some are just, oh, they're so awesome. So yes, Great kills, and just the way that it's a pretty simple, straightforward story. Like, Michael, in the very beginning, we get introduced to this boy, which you don't totally know at first, but you do see the clown costume in the hand grabbing the knife out of the drawer, and it's a first person perspective view. Like, the Carpenter opens this movie beautifully. For one thing, it's crafted just awesome the way he opens this movie with Michael's first kill of his sister, and it explains, like, how could this little innocent boy like do this, and then it flashes forward to when Michael breaks out of the sanitarium, and he goes back to Haddonfield and starts to hunt down and kill some teenagers, and then Lori ends up getting involved because they're her friends, and he's trying to kill her, and she's babysitting on Halloween night. It's a simple premise that he made you sit on the edge of your seat with the way that he shot, filmed, paced, and everything, the movie, just the way it was constructed, with the angles and the long takes and everything, and the lighting, and how, like, when Michael was in the background behind characters talking, being all creepy, just standing there and shit. And this movie started a trend of movies that has continued on since this movie came out. The Friday the 13th franchise, the Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky, like every major horror movie franchise, they have done it a little bit different. Like, because Jason and Freddy and Chucky, they all kind of have their own little thing, but it all spawned from this movie. Like, the guys that created the Friday the 13th franchise, they said, I've watched a ton of stuff about those movies. They said that they were like, we want to capture and emulate, and let's do the Halloween. Like, let's do Halloween, but with our characters. So they've all done a little different, and they've grown into their own thing. But the Halloween, 1978's Halloween, started this wave of iconic horror movie franchises that all are still around today, like they are. Freddy's pretty dead, but so is Jason, I guess. Jason's kind of dead too. It's been a while since we've seen them get an actual movie, but Chucky is alive and kicking, man. Holy hell, that TV series is awesome. But yeah, it's Halloween. It's a classic. Now, I will say, I do have a negative thing to say about the movie. The acting. The acting is, like I said, Donald Pleasance is easily the best actor in this movie. Now, a lot of the other characters, Lori and her friends, her friends are the ones that I would say have, like Linda and Annie, and Bob, they're bad. They don't do a good job in the movie, and I don't know if it was the dialogue that they were given, the lines per se, but I would say that is easily the weakness of this movie, is the acting of some of the side characters. Now, Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, this was her first, like, big movie, so, like, I'm not gonna harp on her too much, I guess, but there are a few times where even her acting at the time shows a little, because it's her first major role, and she was asked to do a lot more. But overall, I think she did a pretty damn good job and became a scream queen after this movie came out. And of course, like I said, Nick Castle as Michael Myers. He literally laid the groundwork for what that character should be done and how he should be done in the movies. Now, like I said, we'll talk about the other actors that play him in the other movies. We'll get into all that, don't you worry. But yeah, so I would say that's the weakness. But otherwise, it's a classic. My favorite horror movie franchise, which has bad movies. All of them do. All the horror movie franchises have bad to just straight up garbage dog shit movies. And then they have really good movies, and then they have some that are okay. Like most movie franchises that go on for a long time. That's bound to happen. So, the music, holy shit. The music in this movie, the score that John Carpenter created, the Halloween theme on the piano, it is simple, but it is effective as hell, and it has lived on to stand the test of times. It's been redone, retooled. The classic Halloween theme, though, is the best one to date. I have liked some of the redone ones and the reimagined ones. I thought the Rob Zombie one was actually pretty cool reimagining of this John Carpenter Halloween theme song. So, and the music is a huge reason why this movie is so effective at building the suspense and everything and the horror of this movie. And another thing that I love about this movie too is it really captures what Halloween night was back in this time. You go trick-or-treating, you carve pumpkins, you're being babysat, you're watching spooky movies, the original Thing, the original Night of the Living Dead. Like, they show all this in this movie while we're actually having our own freaking psychopath serial killer going around killing teenagers that are having sex, which this movie also started. That in horror movies that came after this, if you're getting down and getting busy, you're going to die probably. So you're pretty much guaranteed to die. So don't get down and get nasty with your lady or guy, whatever. Don't do that shit. You're going to die. I'm just joking. So yeah, it's a classic. And I love that they capture that Halloween feel in this movie. It's just, and I also, this is a horror movie. It's a slasher. It ignited the slasher. It's got the scares. It's got the music. But I also love that the way that they dive into just how Michael is just evil. He's just evil, and how they dive into that theme of, well, what makes him do that? This movie was not worried about that. And when Loomis is like, just that scene in the Myers house where he explains to the sheriff how he, for 7 years I tried to reach him, and then another 6, yada, 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 the blackest eyes, and he's just evil. He's just fucking evil. And sometimes that's all you need to be told. We don't need to be told why he's evil, what drove him to do this, because I think it takes away from the character, the shape, Michael Myers. He's just evil. And he just wants to kill some teenage chicks that are having sex. Because I think he has a little bit of an issue with the sex shit. And he's got problems with that. Yes. But he's just evil, for God's sakes, everybody. So yeah. Halloween, everybody. John Carpenter's original vision and masterpiece of a horror movie, Halloween. I am giving this bad boy a 10 out of 10. It stands the test of time, and I think it always will. It's a classic. It ignited a slew of friggin' horror franchises and everything, and it is still kicking today, everybody. So, a 10 out of 10, everybody, for 1978's Halloween. I hope you guys enjoyed that review. I thank you for watching, and I'll be catching you on the tube later because I have spoken.